What's up, babe? Welcome back to the Fitbits podcast here with my lovely co-host, Erin
Hi.
Diamond.
Happy to do this with you today.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah,
It's
it
gonna
has.
be fun.
I'm excited about what we're going to talk about today. So we're talking about our own fertility journey. We have two beautiful kids, and it didn't come without much struggle. And this is something that, you know, we want to share because we just enjoy sharing anything that we've done throughout our lives that we can use to help other people. But this is especially prevalent in the fitness industry.
Yeah.
So many fitness people were just really rough on our bodies. And so fertility is a thing. And I don't know how to say this without pissing some people off. It's going to piss some people off.
Trigger warning.
Yeah.
Trigger
and
warning.
I don't mean to be insensitive, but I really do think that so many people jump very, very quickly to IVF because it's what the medical system pushes. I mean, I could really go down a rabbit hole here of just like, you know, the money behind it and all the things. Jordan and I were able to get successfully pregnant twice without IVF. And every time I mention this, talk about it, every time you talk about it, people were like, peptides or this or that, or, you know, you especially have really, you have a lot of knowledge now on male factor fertility. And so I wanted to record this podcast to just bring awareness to other things outside of IVF and just that it was successful for us.
Yeah. And look, we would have done IVF. That was like our next resort. And IVF has been a miracle practice for people to be able to have children, right? It truly is one of the most modern medical miracles that I think exists. But with any great medical advent, it ends up, I think, getting overused for profit. You know?
100%.
So that's what we're going to jump into. And this is not just our personal story, but if you're listening to this, there's some ways that you can apply this into your business, right? Because as a fitness coach, I bet you didn't know that 1 in 6 couples will deal with fertility issues. 1 in 6.
It's wild.
Yeah. So if you have 6 clients, one of them at some point will most likely come to you and say, hey, I want to get pregnant. And it'd be nice if you're like, okay, cool. I have some skill sets to be able to apply.
Not saying you have to become the fertility expert, but man, in any way that you can help by just awareness. Yeah.
So we're going to take you back, okay, to the very beginning, where I did not want children. I was pretty much, not even pretty much, I was like fully decided on that to the extent that I'll share this part with you. I went on TRT, testosterone replacement therapy, which is not conducive if you go on it like I did at 23 years old, if you expect to have children.
Yeah.
But to take you back in the beginning, you know, I never wanted children, grew up in a very small town, messy divorce that I went through as a kid, witnessed like my parents hate each other and the stress that it put on our siblings. So I just told myself from a young age, I know I would probably replicate that because I was also kind of a fuckboy, cheated on most girls when I was young. And that was my dating pattern, right? Like got in one serious relationship when I was young who I thought I was going to have children with. I was 19, started dating her. She was 25 or 26. She was the hottest girl in our hometown. It was like my greatest accomplishment at 19 years old, but she wanted children and a family. And I was 19. I'm like, man, I don't know if I want to do this. So long story short, I ended up cheating on her and then she cheated on me, got out of it. And so at that point between like that was 20 years old until I met Erin at 27, my longest relationship was like 2 months, 3 months. I would break up with them right when feelings started to creep in. In fact, my way of breaking up with them was to take them to Panera Bread. And this is like probably 6 or 7 times. I would take them to Panera Bread. I'd say, hey, you know, I don't really want to be in a long-term relationship. This isn't working out. Panera Bread was really great because it was like busy enough and loud enough to where it wouldn't be a scene. You already pay for your food and everything right when you walk in. So if they storm up and leave, it's not awkward. And it was perfect because there's multiple exits too. So they could go out one way, I could go out the other. I had this all dialed in. So anyways, met Erin. And Erin, do you just want to kind of tell the story about how you kind of just said, well.
We were, a few months into dating. And I remember we were just like laying in bed. We were talking about kids and I'm one of those girls just like from forever. I've always wanted to be a mom. I've always known that. It's always been my thing. It was a value that I was not ever going to budge on. And when I met Jordan, I had like just gone through a divorce. I was not fucking around. I was 30 years old. And I remember we were laying in bed and I said something about kids. And you said, I'm just not real sure if I ever want to have kids. And I just said, well, okay, that's perfectly fine. You know, you're entitled to your own opinion. So like the way this will go is we'll just date for a little while until that becomes a stronger desire of mine and then we'll break up.
I was like, damn. I was like, oh, okay. I didn't say anything that night.
I rolled over and I went to bed. That was the end.
Yeah. I remember laying there thinking like, wow, that's in one way is very admirable for you to be just so firm on your values and what you want to do. Because I was used to girls being like, okay, well, me neither, you know? Yeah. And I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And then I just stayed up all night thinking about it. Next day I woke up, was just going through my head, asking myself like, why is it that you don't want to have children? And I quickly came to the realization that I was just scared.
Quickly. You like rolled over the morning and said, okay, we can have kids.
Yeah. Yeah. Cause like, A, I didn't want to lose you, which is kind of a weird way to think about it. But B, you know, I'd always known deep down, like there's a truth that sometimes you have deep in your bones, but then consciously you don't want to acknowledge it.
Yeah,
And that was always the case because I now think it's funny. Now I'm like the kid proponent. I'm like, oh, you don't want kids? What the fuck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Like, what other reason do you have to be alive?
You are.
Yeah. And I truly believe that now. But thank God that you stood your boundaries on that.
Yeah.
And anyways, so we started trying probably about what?
Yeah.
It was 2020.
One little important, I think, part to that is you didn't think you wanted kids, so you pretty much sabotaged your ability to have kids, right? Like, you know, you went on TRT, you knew you were smart. I don't want to say smart enough, but you had the knowledge to know that you needed to come off. You needed to cycle off different things. Maybe you can speak to that a little bit better than me. What are you supposed to take? In that instance, Clomid and all those things that you just didn't do for years. And so by the time we got down to it and you made the decision, you're like, well, I probably fucked this up for myself.
Oh yeah, definitely. So backstory, I injured my pituitary gland in a snowboarding accident when I was probably 20, I think. Had a bad concussion. Didn't think much of it. But then about a year after that, I just had a lot of symptoms like very low libido. At that time, I was getting all the chicks, dog. Like
Shut up.
I had chicks on rotation. Like it
He's
was
lying.
And at that point, I just like wasn't interested anymore. Like I literally went months without having sex or even like touching my own dick. I was like, well, that's weird. And then just no motivation, depression symptoms, everything else. So, you know, I just started to do my own research and I was like, I wonder if my testosterone's low. So I went to a hormone
so
clinic.
many men just deal with. I mean, how often do you talk to friends or I talk to women and their husbands and I'm like, what's his testosterone like?
Oh yeah.
Like
sure.
men just deal with that.
Yeah. And testosterone is like, it is the male hormone. It's the thing that causes men to be men. And if that is low, it's going to impede everything you do in your life.
Motivation, sex drive. Yeah.
So I go to the HRT clinic, I get a lab test and my test came out as there are two variables that you're looking at with testosterone testing. You have total, which is the total circulating testosterone in your body. And then you have free. Free is the amount of actual usable, unbound testosterone that your body actually converts. And so my total was a normal range might be 300 to 900 nanoliter to deciliter. Mine was like, I think 70. And then my free typical ranges are like 12 to 30. Mine
As
was
a
like
25-year-old male, right? Like that's
well, 21 at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which that's like, mine was like 2 or 4.
Yeah.
And so the guy was like, oh yeah, you know, like this isn't good. He's like, we're going to start you on TRT. And at the time I didn't want to like inject myself. You know, I was a little bit worried about that. So I did these creams, you know, and then I was going to do these pellets. And then finally I was like, dude, stop being a bitch. Just do the whole thing. And then to Erin's point, to circle back, I knew that a big risk of going on that young was fertility because the longer that you're on testosterone, which shuts down your own body's hypothalamus signal to produce your own testosterone, it's exogenous, right? So at that point, your body just goes into remission. It doesn't produce it at all.
Yeah.
Not that mine was producing much at all anyways,
Right.
but if I knew that I wanted to have children, to Erin's point, I would have done things like keep HCG in.
HCG was what I was looking for. Yeah.
Yeah, which is just a signaling peptide that signals your body to produce, right? And I would have done that. I would have like maybe cycled off at periods, but I just didn't.
Yeah.
So from 21 until 27, just testosterone replacement.
Right. Yeah. Which, side note, isn't it kind of crazy that there actually is not 100% effective, but a form of male birth control, which is what you just described,
Well,
that people don't really talk about it or use it like that?
Yeah, there was actually a big push to test testosterone as a male birth control.
But don't leave it up to the men. Make the women do it.
Yeah.
Of course, that's not going to apply. Yeah.
Isn't that funny, right?
Yeah.
It's like,
I mean, there's a solve.
Yeah, because it's like when we think about birth control, it's like what we do is we put a bulletproof vest on the person rather than just take the bullets out of the gun.
That's a really great point. Yeah.
It's like, it's still, if you just didn't have bullets.
No, 100%. Yeah.
But obviously men are like, nope, I think the chicks are going to have to just destroy their entire hormone profiles and just fuck them up for life. But anyways, so takeaway guys, if you don't want to snip your balls and do a vasectomy, if you just go on TRT, it's going to help you to not get pregnant. You know, like why would you rely on putting a bulletproof vest on your wife, i.e. birth control, when you could just take the bullets out of the gun, right? Yeah, so we share that part too, guys, because if you have male clients who are struggling with some of these symptoms and like excess fat gain, everything else, like, and just no motivation, get their fucking labs, get their testosterone tested. And then you'd first want to try to cross all the normal bridges, sleep, saturated fats, unprocessed foods, right? Stress, lifting heavy. But if you still don't get their ranges in a, not even just 300 nanoliter to deciliter, if you're a man, you should be 700 and above. Otherwise, if I were you, go on TRT. Anyways, so what we did when we decided that we were going to start trying is we just stopped not trying, right? I just started coming in you regularly.
All right. I think people know how babies are made.
Yeah. Which, by the way, once you start doing that, God, it's like sucks to go back. Like it's the worst.
Well, kind of funny. We're jumping ahead here. We have 2 kids. We didn't try to not have a baby for like 5 years, right? Because we struggled. And then we had our second baby. I'm 11 weeks postpartum right now. And the first time we had sex, we like forgot that was how you made a baby. And I was like, whoa, wait a minute. Wait. We can't do this anymore.
Well, at first I was like, babe, that's okay, right? Because I just like, just.
And I was like, sure. And then I was like, wait, no, it's not.
Yeah. I was like, oh shit. So anyways, lesson, how babies are made is you ejaculate into the woman. So what we did at that point is I knew that I needed to do some intervention. I knew that was coming. And so I reached out to my old bodybuilding coach, Scooby, who's like a very, very big in functional and endocrine systems. And I knew he was the guy to start with. Mm-hmm. So Scooby is like, look, dude, I have a 98% success rate with getting bodybuilders that I've coached to get them pregnant.
Talk about a pitch.
Yeah.
Guaranteed results. We were like, sign me up.
For sure. Because, bodybuilders, dude, they run their bodies not just with TRT, but like through all kinds of hosts of endogenous hormones. And I've taken other steroids in the past for like short periods, but it wasn't like very common. So anyways, he's like, here's what we're going to do. You're not going to go off TRT initially, but we're going to go first nutrition. We got to raise your fats, high amounts of saturated fats, which are the building blocks that your body uses to be able to produce hormones. Same for women. So low inflammatory, saturated fats. And we did maintain protein, carbs, yada, yada. Training, he made me pull back 3 to 4 days, leaving reps in reserve, right? Stress. You got to like pull back those high intensity stressors. We started HCG. Or we were going to start HCG. This was the plan. It was 1,000 units Monday, Wednesday, Friday of HCG, HMG, 75 milligrams Tuesday, Thursday, and enclomiphene, 50 milligrams daily. So HMG is really the secret component that most people don't utilize.
I was going to say, nobody really knows that. Every time you've shared this protocol with people, they're like, oh, my doctor has me on everything else. What's HMG?
HMG is really the key factor there, dude. And it's hard to find, but it is the thing that I think
expensive,
it's very
expensive. Not as expensive as IVF.
Exactly. Yeah. This whole protocol, it's a good point. It probably costs like $3,000.
Yeah.
What's IVF? 20?
Yeah. Yeah.
So anyways, we're going to do that for 6 weeks and then we're going to test and see what it looks like. We also did, L-carnitine, HGH 3IUs, and insulin 3IU, which has nothing to do with fertility. But for me, I'm like, I reduced my testosterone down pretty low. And I'm like, I want to maintain my size. He's like, okay, we're going to use this.
Yeah, yeah.
So anyways, for Erin, he's like, what I recommend for you, he said progesterone, right? Because you want to have it at least a 10 plus.
Well, progesterone optimization. I didn't get on exogenous progesterone right away, but you want me to kind of go into what I did do?
Well, we'll get to that when we get to that. But he recommended, which we never even got to. We never actually needed to. But he's like, for Erin,
I eventually did with our second baby.
You did for the second baby. So it was like, make sure her progesterone's in line. So for you guys and your clients.
And it's not for most stressed out females.
Exactly. That's where you start. Chasteberry, which is a really great supplement for brain to ovary connection. And then you want to test your eggs and ovulation tracking. Track your ovulation cycles.
Yeah, yeah.
Most women, I think, don't even know about that, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other rabbit hole that we could talk about. I think maybe there's so many components to fertility. Yeah. I think for the sake of this podcast, we'll stick to male factor fertility. But if you guys have questions, I'm more than happy to dive deep on. I mean, I prepped my body for like 3.5 years. Yeah.
Well, so that was the protocol that we were getting ready to start. This stuff's hard to find when you're not going through doctors. You have to go through all kinds of different sourcing. It took me a couple of months to get, but then we're like, we're going to do a sperm test. So the funny story about the sperm test, I'm like, obviously I need to get a sperm test. So here's how this typically works. You go to your doctor, you say you want a sperm test, they call it in, and then you have to go to a clinic where you go in and it's the most awkward experience of your life. You go in, they give you a little cup. They're like, you can go in the bathroom and we need you to fill that up with sperm, and you're like, okay. And they're like, listen, no lubricant. You got a fucking dry stroke. And like, it's like
no spit, no lubricant. Nothing.
Can't even do the old spitteroo. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, I haven't jerked off like that since I was like 14. So anyways, I go in the bathroom and it's loud. I start to pull out my phone and like was going to turn some porn on. I'm like, I feel like a pedophile right now. Or just like a fucking sex
just a creep.
Yeah. So I'm like, fuck this. I leave because I'm like, how long do I have to be able to submit the sample? She's like, you have an hour. I'm like, okay, cool. So I leave, I get in my car, I drive to a grocery store and I find like a quiet parking lot covered in trees and my windows are tinted in my Tesla and I'd beat off in a grocery store parking lot. It took a while, but we got it done. So anyways, come back and my sperm was 0 sperm count, 0.
Yeah.
And motility. Motility is not, so you want to count two things, your sperm count and then how motile is your sperm. Because motility is like how active are they moving around.
Are they going to make their way to the egg?
Right.
Yeah.
Mine were blanks on both fronts. So,
And you're pretty upset. Like, even though we kind of expected that was a pretty harsh realization of where we were coming from, you know?
Yeah. I was like pretty bummed. I'm like, I knew, I was like, I'm not surprising.
Yeah.
But I'm like, well, we got
I don't think we expected 0 though.
Right.
We were like, damn, because we have so many friends and people who have gone through IVF and had a way better prognosis than we had in the beginning. So we were just kind of like, oh, well, okay, I guess this is the battle that we're facing right now. Yeah.
At that point, I was like, we're going to try our hardest, but I'm not going to like, I'm not going to allow this to ruin our lives.
For sure.
Because you see that too.
So, I mean, I know it hit you pretty hard. Do you feel like it made you feel like less of a man? Like, what feelings came up?
Yeah, not as much like less of a man. It made me feel very like I was going to disappoint you. Nobody wants to be the culprit and reason that you can't give your wife what she wants more than anything, which is a child.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of shame and guilt and stuff because I also caused a lot of it.
Right.
In some ways.
I can see that.
But that just gave me motivation to say like, okay, I have this prognosis, but I'm not going to live and die by this prognosis. We're going to get this done. I truly believe we're going to get it done.
Yeah.
So crazy story time. At that point, we had a wedding we were going to, our friends Dylan and Lauren Bear in Scottsdale. And I ordered all my shit, got it in, had all the syringes loaded, had everything ready to go. I'm like, I'm going to start it when we get back because I didn't want to travel with these peptides. You have to keep them cold. It's like kind of tricky. So I'm like, we'll start when we get back. So we go to the wedding, and in this wedding, it was beautiful. We had a great time, love, connection, friends. We had a flight get canceled after the wedding where we were supposed to go to Mexico, stayed in Scottsdale an extra night with our two friends, Ben and Deidre. And Erin was also ovulating at the time. And so we hung out with him and we took a drug known as 2CB.
It's a psychedelic. Yeah.
It's a psychedelic. It's one of the best psychedelics in the world. If you're into psychedelic remedies, it is basically LSD, but it's manipulated to where they take the LSD molecule and they remove all of the disassociating factors, all of the things that cause you to like not be able to be very coherent, right? So your brain is super clear, but you have all the auditory and visual hallucinogenic effects of LSD. So imagine being able to think super clear, but also Fred
Seeing
Flintstone's
cartoons,
just walking by.
Yeah.
It's so much fun. So we're in there, we're having fun. We're like, let's go back and try to make a baby. So we're walking back to our hotel room. It's probably 9 o'clock at night. We see this courtyard that is lit up by like overhead lights. Imagine Friday Night Lights. It felt like that, right? And there's a football laying out in the courtyard. So I'm like, hey, let's throw the football for a minute. So we stop and we play catch. And the entire time they were playing catch, I'm telling Erin how cool it would be for her to be a boy mom. I always wanted a girl. That was always the conversation. But I'm like, dude.
We have 2 nieces, so I think we just always pictured our life with the girl.
Exactly. It's the only association we had.
Yeah.
But I'm like, you're good. You'd be such a good boy mom. Because Erin's got like a really good arm. She's very athletic. One of the things I love physically most about you is your athleticism. And she's like catching routes over her shoulder, hitting me in stride. And we have like a 30-minute catch fest and truly visualizing being a boy mom. While on this psychedelic.
I always joke. I'm like, isn't this everyone's foreplay?
Yeah.
Isn't this what you do? You stop and you play football on your way to have sex?
So we go back to the room all sweaty and like, and we have great sex. It was amazing. And sure enough, that was the night that we conceived Jackson. And I swear, I truly believe we more or less manifested. We created our internal belief in reality and we visualized it so clearly that led to really a medical miracle in a lot of ways.
It truly was. Like when I took the pregnancy test, I remember just showing Jordan and he's like mid squat. There was no part of me that was like, this is going to be positive. I should grab my phone, take a video, nothing. I was like, I need to get a workout in. I haven't started my period in like 4 days. I'm just going to pee on the stick. And I remember walking out to the garage. I put it back in my sweatshirt and I forgot about it for 20 minutes, which is not a thing when you're thinking you're going to be pregnant. And I'm walking out to the garage and I pull it out and I just look at you shocked. And I'm like, look at this. And you rack the weights and you're like, nuh-uh. And then you go, how'd that happen? I'm like, I have no idea. Yeah. Because we were like, we were getting ready to start the journey, the thing. And we had 0% chance. Yeah. So to your point, just the psychedelic and just the way that whatever way the universe was working, conspiring for us that night, and then like just speaking it into existence. Yep. Like I think with being a boy mom, having a boy, having our intentions set on that. Yep. Man, I can't turn back from like just thinking the universe will conspire for you now after that experience. Exactly. If you truly believe something and you visualize, I just think that, that can really manifest into the reality. And it was cool too, because I was getting ready to start all these protocols. I was going to have to stop using the sauna because I love the sauna. I was like, I don't do any of that shit. I don't stop smoking weed. So anyways, let's fast forward. Second round. So we have Jackson, beautiful boy, perfectly healthy, amazing kid.
And we knew that we wanted to have a second. And so we started, about a year after Jackson, right? We started trying again.
We started not trying like eight months after, because we were like, you know what, it's gonna be hard, whatever. So yeah, we kind of started just being like, pull the goalie, whatever. Let's just see.
Yeah, and that went on for probably 7 months, 8 months before we intervened again.
Yeah, I don't know exactly when you started your more intense protocols. I mean, you were on it for 5 months or so, maybe, before it happened.
Yeah, something like that. So, anyways, we knew that we had to intervene again. So at this point, I went to Megan Vital Medical, who's owned by Vince Pitstick's companies, who bought our fitness business. They bought T4E Health Systems. So we had a close relationship with them. And I'm like, I'm going to work with them. So Megan is like, first thing we got to do is a sperm test. I'm like, no, fuck that. And she goes, no, listen.
Way better technology. Yeah. You do not have to go in the clinic. I love telling people that who are trying to get pregnant that now, because that a lot of men won't do that, or they drag their feet or whatever. So yeah, listen to this part if you've experienced the sperm test. So
there's a product called YO, just YO home sperm test. It's $100 and it comes with 3 test kits versus the lab alone was over $1,000. Right.
Yeah.
And so you can test at home. It's incredible. You have this little box that you pull out, like a little slide, sample slide. You jerk off, you take a little sample of that, put it on, put this little like mixing formula in it, and you put it into the kit. And it's an app-based thing. So it literally shows you your swimmers on your app swimming around and then gives you sperm viability and motility. Yeah. Pretty incredible.
Yeah. You get 3 tests with it.
It comes with 3, but then you just buy more tests.
Yeah.
You know?
It's become a funny little party trick around here when Jordan has friends over and
like,
we
you
like
test your
talking.
sperm?
He's like, here you go. Here's my kit. You want to go test your sperm?
Yeah. I've had 3 or 4 friends borrow it. I don't even know who has it now.
Yeah.
I just like give it to them to borrow. So within 20 minutes, you know what it is. And it's 97% compared to lab systems in terms of like accuracy. So anyways, what my results were 6 million motile sperm per milliliter. Standard is like 7 to 10. So I was still below average, but I was getting somewhere. Now, I should mention, though, I didn't test my sperm until we had been on the protocol for about 6 months.
Yeah, which you'll get into in a minute.
And I stayed on testosterone during that time.
Yeah. This was the same protocol that you already mentioned.
Exactly. So the protocol, just to give you a quick rundown on that, was HCG. At this point, I was doing 5,000 units, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, HMG, 75 milligrams, Tuesday, Thursday, and then clomiphene, 50 milligrams every other day. And clomiphene sucks. It makes you anxious. It's like a terrible drug. I hate it.
Yeah, this was rough. Like we've had other friends who you've shared this with, or they've worked with people like Megan and stuff, and they go on protocols like this, and it's hard to stick it out for men. Like I watched you go through a lot to make this happen. Emotional highs and lows, lack of sex drive. The least lack of sex drive I've ever seen you have in 8 years. And I'm like, this is quite inconvenient when we're trying to have a baby. I cannot get you to have sex with me. Yeah. Like, come on, let's just do it for the mission. But
well, at this point with that sperm test, that's when it was obvious I needed to go completely off testosterone.
Yeah.
And so that's what we did.
That's when it got bad. Yeah.
I removed it entirely. After a few weeks, you really start to feel it. Everything just starts to feel terrible. Your body hurts, your no motivation to sex drive, like is totally gone. I was trying everything to get horny. Like I just could not do it, dude. Yeah. But we figured it out. With that, so yeah, that whole protocol happened, whatever. Went off testosterone. And then after going off testosterone and being on that protocol for about 6 months was when we conceived Marley. Now I want to mention the conception of Marley. Very similar to Jackson. It was kind of when we stopped trying so hard in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
You put a lot of pressure on yourself. You like do it as a routine. It's like time, it's like a fucking medical procedure almost where there's just not the love, the connection, the relaxation,
Once again, we were out of town. We were with friends, same friends. And other friends of ours, and just having a really good, like relaxing adult night. Yep. We just like snuck away and conceived.
Aaron took MDMA. I didn't. But,
so did my friends.
Yeah. But like, that's, again, just the relaxation. I think community, love, laughter, low stress,
100%.
All those things have to be a factor.
Yeah. 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 Children are conceived in love.
Yeah. So the science breakdown here and takeaways to understand fertility, like TRT, right? Hormones, male factor, get your sperm test. Lifestyle factors. For me, I also had to remove sauna. Well, I didn't remove sauna though. So if you're trying to get pregnant as a man, you don't want to do things that are raising your nut temperatures to like extreme temperatures.
No sauna, hot tub, watch, even setting like a laptop on your lap, things like that.
Long bicycle rides, things like that can impair it. So I'm like addicted to the sauna. So I cut it out for like a week and I was like, I can't take this. So what I did was I ordered some some underwear that are used for vasectomies that have ice packs in the balls.
Mm-hmm.
And I would literally take an ice bag, sit on it and ice my balls in the sauna. And that worked. And also like, you know, marijuana. I've always smoked weed at night, like just like a nighttime routine. I had to really cut that back, especially around the ovulation phase. Keep your fats adequate, lower your training intensity.
Should we pause for?
But yeah, for women, Erin, do you want to just do a quick, like, here's some bullet points on like, I know the most important things for women, right?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Well, I mean, just to like for a female in the fitness industry, it's so common to just not be hormonally healthy, right? We put a lot of stress on our bodies, like working
most
out.
don't even have periods.
Yeah, I mean, for at least a period of time. If you've dieted hard, you've probably disrupted your cycle. But you know, working out is good stress, but it is stress. And especially if you've been addicted to exercise or if you've been in the bodybuilding world or whatever, there's a good chance your body is not in like a good, like place of homeostasis to have a baby.
Yeah.
It's like firing all the signals like, no, we don't want to procreate.
Yeah.
And so I had a feeling that was going to be the case, you know, entering into my journey. And so really it starts in some cases a year or 2 years before you want to get pregnant. So I think I started taking my hormonal health really seriously, not necessarily because I had any huge red flags, issues popping up. I just wanted to make sure that I could conceive.
You did. You took it really serious. You were taking naps during the day.
Yeah.
You lowered your caffeine.
Yeah.
You know?
So that's a couple of them. Caffeine intake, you know, it's kind of funny because so many of the guidelines that they give you during pregnancy around like caffeine intake, foods not to eat, different things to do, stress management is probably just how you should live all the time. Yeah. So that was a lot of my initial protocols. 200 milligrams of caffeine per day, no more. I turned a sharp corner on that. I was really strict around that. No high intensity cardio. I was the cardio queen for years and just cut all of that out. So really, I mean, on my end, most of it was diet, stress, lifestyle managing factors, and that made a world of a difference. But even still, I got a Dutch test right before we got pregnant, and my progesterone was basically non-existent. I had the provider was like, if you do get pregnant right now, you will likely miscarry.
Yeah, you need to at least be a 6 minimum.
I don't remember. I could look up my exact protocol. And like I said, if you guys are interested, I'll do an entire podcast on everything I did. I'll go back, grab all my notes and everything, but it's kind of it's a rabbit hole. I mean, like I said, fertility is so complex. So I worked really, really hard. I did so many things to get my progesterone in range, which like I said, I could turn that into a whole other episode. And finally I did. And then we got pregnant the next month. Yeah. So, I mean, I think it went both ways. It really did. Yeah.
And so again, we would have definitely done IVF, like had we not had success, but I think the takeaway here is try naturally first. Like try taking your own health into your own advocacy and being resourceful. You're a coach. If you're listening to this, you love the science and mechanics of this. Like it can be done.
Yeah.
There's so many people that it's worked for. And so maybe just have that conversation with your clients. Say, why don't we give this a try?
And knowledge is power, right? And maybe you're listening to this episode and you're like, I didn't even know I could do so many of those things. I mean, you guys, it's ironic. Jordan's shirt right now, it says movement is medicine. I was just getting ready to say like, you know, food is medicine and just all the things that you guys already know, it can really impact your fertility journey too, for yourself and for your clients. And you have to seek the knowledge. Yeah.
And just as a man, like if you're listening to this, get obsessed with it. That became my obsession, my nerd obsession. Like other things that I did, red light therapy has been shown to increase male ovulation, male sperm production. So like I would put the red light in front of my balls twice a day. I would also use this product called Heart and Soil Male Fertility Stack, which it's a blend of like all kinds of different bull semen to like liver and all these like really, really great fertility compounds. And I put that in right around the time that it worked too. So that was another thing that I did. And just like throw the kitchen sink at it, dude. Go all in. And for a guy, you got to remember this. The woman sacrifices so much. You know, she goes through 9 months of being pregnant, which we'll never understand how miserable that could be. It looks awful. And then you go through this crazy birthing experience where that looks terrible too. And then right after that, you basically have to have a baby attached to your tits all day. How many hours do you say you breastfeed per day?
I calculated it and it's like 26 hours a week or something.
Yeah.
It's not as bad once they get more efficient. So it's probably less now, but I calculated it in our first couple of months.
And then the sleep, you know, like the mom's the one usually who's like getting their sleep totally destroyed. Their body gets destroyed. Their mental health goes to shit. Like dopamine plummets after birth, like all these things that as a man, if it were up to us, that would be the end of civilization.
The end of humanity.
Yeah. So for me, like, and you should listen to this too. It's like the least you can do is be very diligent around getting your sperm healthy.
Yeah. I don't know though if it's even as much as like men not being willing to do it, but we just don't even think about it, right? We think like all the women stuff, tracking your ovulation, getting your hormones checked, all that stuff. And I just think so many people, they don't even think of the male side. Yeah. So often I'm having a conversation with a friend who's struggling with fertility and I'm like, well, what's your husband's sperm count? Oh, I don't know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Like it really is a two-way street. Like both people have to be healthy.
100%, dude.
Yeah.
So according to ChatGPT, 40 to 50% of infertility cases are the male's fault. But I would just guess this. I would say 90% of the time, the woman is the only one who is really being pushed to advocate for her own health.
Yeah. Well, male factor fertility, it's just not talked about as much, which is why I wanted to create this podcast.
Yeah. Well, cool, guys. Hopefully you found this valuable. If anything, you get to know us a little bit better. And hopefully there's some useful tactics either in your own fertility journey or just be better equipped and prepared when inevitably it comes up with your clients.
Yeah. And if you have any questions, hit us up in the DMs. Jordan and I are more than willing to talk about it. And like I said, if you want that part 2 on everything I did, I feel like there's so many resources out there for women, but I'm more than happy to share that too.
Cool, guys. We'll see you on the next one.